Yo, what up, everybody? This is Eric with Mind Melt Podcast, and we are coming to you from Bayview, Idaho. Just wanted to have a little discussion with my wifey, Kendra, today. We were planning on releasing the MK Ultra podcast, but the research in that is just so overwhelming. I mean, we have been researching it like crazy for the last week.
It literally gives me anxiety.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean,
It's intense, and there's so much.
And I knew that there was a lot going on with it. You know, I knew that it was a lot of research, but I didn't know that there was this much research. It's super interesting. I'm glad that we're doing it.
We want to give you guys a good podcast, though, so we're going to postpone it until the weekend and just hopefully nail down some of the main points that we don't, we want to make sure we cover the main things.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like, I've researched 140 sub-projects so far. I'm only through like number 40.
Wow.
And I just want to make sure that I'm not skipping any of the really crazy shit, but also that I'm not overloading it with a bunch of dumb shit. Because there's a lot of stuff that they did that isn't that interesting.
Yeah.
You know? And so it's 19 years of stuff. And the crazy part is that we're only getting a small glimpse of what they were doing because most of the files were burned. So it's like, even with our small amount, it's still overwhelming.
Yeah.
But
it's crazy.
Yeah. But that being said, we just wanted
excited
to give a little update and maybe hang out for the next hour, because not a lot of our listeners, might not know us, or maybe they did know us, but they haven't seen us in a while, and a lot's changed. So we just kind of wanted to hang out and just bullshit for the next hour.
Yeah. Congrats on you, Eric, for finally feeling better.
Yeah. So those of you that don't know, I have Crohn's disease, which is an autoimmune
disease.
Yeah, that's got to do with your digestive system.
Yeah, basically your cells attack themselves in your body and cause inflammation and all sorts of problems.
Yeah. So
this last recent flare that Eric's had has lasted about 6 months. It was pretty ruthless.
Yeah, it's been pretty crazy. I was actually telling Sally today, like, how
your boss's wife.
Yeah, my boss's wife. I was telling her today about how when I was really having a lot of the symptoms and I was in like so much pain and it was like agonizing just to get through a day of work, I was thinking about, back then I was like, man, I wish I could just remember what it felt like to feel normal.
Yeah.
Because I had never felt so shitty. And then, finally now I kind of, like, today I was reflecting on the fact that I actually feel normal again.
Yeah, you're
and
starting
I'm not,
to feel good. You're starting to get your immune system back.
Yeah, and I have a decent amount of energy, which is cool, and like it's not, so draining on my life.
Your sugar cravings are going down because you're eating better, and we're still learning so much about the microbiome. It's crazy how much our flora and our bacteria inside of our bodies affect the way we feel and think.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy too. Like, just, I think it's what's really crazy is that people don't consider what they put in their body as fuel. Or
they don't think it's going to affect them the way it does. They don't think it really matters.
Yeah, like I actually know people that drive, nicer vehicles and they won't put gas with ethanol in it because they're afraid of what the ethanol will do to an engine. But they'll put corn syrup in their body, and ethanol is literally corn.
Yeah, and they and they bitch about, prices at the natural food market.
Yeah, but I was listening to a podcast with Chris Kresser, and for those of you that are interested in this kind of shit, Chris Kresser is the man. He's
amazing.
Super, super on it. And he was talking about how, like 1 in every 3 Americans will get diabetes, or they have diabetes, or they're predisposed, which means that they're going to get it. Like, it's not like they might get it or whatever. They will get it. And so 1 out of every 3 Americans does that. And he was saying that the average treatment from the time that a patient's diagnosed until they die is like $600,000.
Yeah.
And how, if you have insurance, then you're like, well, whatever, I have insurance, they'll cover it, which is ridiculous because you're just not thinking about the financial implications that has on so many different things. But regardless of that, I mean, if like, let's say that there wasn't insurance and somebody like me who doesn't have insurance, it's like paying an extra $50 a week for groceries is definitely worth not suffering and like being able to be financially
and preventing
free later.
Things that will come up later, whether you're
who
predetermined by
knows?
genes or
who knows what the insurance system will be like in 10 years, you know, when you get diabetes, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Or who knows what our country will be like in 10 years with all the crazy shit that's going on.
Yeah, you might
now.
as well, you know, give your body what it needs to actually, you know.
Yeah, hedge your bets.
Yeah.
But it's crazy. Like, I don't know. It's a little concerning, I feel like, just knowing that, I don't know, like I torture myself sometimes and eat things that I know I shouldn't, like gluten or whatever, but like, because for me bread is
grains
harsh. Yeah, grain is harsh,
legumes, refined sugars,
and it's not like I'm like, oh, I'm gluten free because I have an intolerance. Like, this shit actually totally affects
tears
me.
You up.
Yeah, so sometimes I'll do that and then I'll immediately regret it, and I understand that it's like the mouth porn, you know. It's like it's just something.
Like, it looks like a good idea, but it's not. Is that what do you mean by mouth porn?
Well, like, you know, like it's
like you're just,
it's not
for taste.
like you're not actually actually getting anything out of it.
Oh, true. Yeah.
You know, it doesn't come with any real satisfaction, but you
not
do
real
it.
Nutrients.
Yeah. You know that you're doing it without any end result, you know?
Yeah, and awareness.
Yeah. So that being said, like I do that, you know, occasionally knowing that, but the crazy just I don't know, I just find it interesting that a lot of people that know me and know my condition don't think that food has any impact on it, and then it should just be medication.
Yeah, that really bothers me too, because they don't really know how severe and how hard it's been for us lately.
Right.
Yeah, like you waking up in the middle of the night, like running to the bathroom, like not being able to eat, bleeding this whole time, like just severe pain.
Yeah.
It's been rough.
Yeah.
And you're trying your best, and then you get made fun of for eating a certain way.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, put two and two together.
Yeah, it's interesting. And it's almost like I feel as though it's almost, you know, because now that we've done it, you know, we've fixed a lot of the problems by diet.
Yeah.
You'd think that the continuation of the diet would be important to people, and they would want me to do that because they know that it's the best thing, you know, but it does seem like people don't think about it like that.
Yeah.
You know? So.
And we by no means think that like Western medicine is bullshit. Like, I work with natural herbs and natural food, but I mean, people think that about me a lot, and that's just not true.
Right.
But at the same time, if you're relying on that alone and you're not getting your foundation built, which is food and exercise and living a stress-free life as much as you can, then I mean, you're going to be open to a whole lot of problems.
Yeah.
And not all medication's going to fix what you have all the time.
Yeah.
Especially for Crohn's. There's no cure for Crohn's.
And also knowing, I mean, just the way that our culture and society works, it's like, considering the fact that the Industrial Revolution has been maybe 200 years, you know?
Yeah.
And that 200 years in comparison to the time span of our life is so minor. I mean, it ain't shit. And a lot of the stuff that we do in culture and society, we just are like, oh, this is great. This will work, you know? And then we find out later on that it's not the case. And there are so many examples of that. Think about mining and just like pumping tons of shit into rivers, you know? Or
that happens all the time.
Well, yeah, and I'm just saying, with almost everything that we do, even social media, I feel like social media is another thing where we don't realize what the impact is going to be on someone's psyche until it's too late.
Until 50 years later or whatever.
And then we're going to be like, holy shit, that was a horrible human experience.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, so all this processed foods that the American diet has, I mean... That's super new. Like, I'm pretty sure our grandparents didn't eat the way we did.
No.
You know? Like,
no, I mean, I was actually telling my dad that too, just how when he says, well, if you think that food is the problem with your digestive system, he's like, how come I don't have that and I eat worse than you do, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, I think it has a lot to do with what I ate when I was a kid. Because I think that when you're a kid, that's like the most
crucial,
formidable time, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And when I was a kid, there wasn't, you know, there was high fructose corn syrup was really being introduced.
Mm-hmm.
Cereal was the breakfast every day.
Right.
You know, adding sugar to sugar cereal
Mm-hmm.
was a thing.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
We ate like shit too.
Yeah, Capri Suns, like
Mm-hmm.
all of these things are just food for kids, you know, Cheetos and whatever.
They have a really high reward system and no actual nutrients that are feeding your body.
Right. And there's scientists that help design these things be more impactful on your reward system. So that way, you know, when you eat it, it has that like immediate impact on the brain's reward center. And I can see it when I'm sure you can. You work at a fucking grocery store.
Oh,
you can see it with kids, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, Jesus Christ, these fucking kids
they're
come
screaming,
in.
I want a honey stick. Like, here, just take it and shut
and
up. The mom
that's the
says.
healthy version.
And they, no kidding.
I mean, she works at an organic store, so it's like these fucking kids. Whenever I go into a gas station or I go into a supermarket or something, I always hear kids like, "Mom, I need to get candy. I need to get candy," and it's like you don't. You know, I'm not berating parents. I'm not trying to say that. I just think honestly it's that they're uninformed. I mean, look at the fucking food pyramid.
Yeah, no, they are uninformed. That's what it is too, because there's tons of other families that come in there, and even if they mention candy, it's like they'll turn to their kid and be like, you know, when we have candy, like you know, when we have chocolate, that's after dinner, or it's, you know, it's only this kind. And
that seems bad too, though.
No, it is, but at the same time, there's still boundaries, and I mean, like, I don't think being super strict is the answer all the time either.
Yeah, you're right.
But when the kid responds with, okay, you're right.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's the difference between the kid crying and the parents, like, slamming a sucker down their throat.
Yeah. I remember when I was young and I was in, like, middle school or something, I had a friend named Cody, not the Cody that was on the podcast last week, but if you're interested in listening to that, go back. But my friend Cody Schmidt, his parents were, they were super strict about diet, and I remember Monday through Saturday they were not allowed to have anything with sugar in it. I mean, like, aside from fruit and things like that, like any processed sugar.
Yeah.
Monday through Saturday, no processed sugar, right? And then on Sunday they could have
a little cheat day.
A cheat day with shitty cereal, and they would fucking eat Smacks or whatever.
Yeah.
You know? And it was really interesting to me because every time I'd go over and stay at their house, I would always shoot for Saturday night because I knew on Sunday I could eat shitty with them, you know?
You probably thought that was whack.
Oh my gosh. I thought that his parents were fucking psychotic.
Yeah.
I mean, I really did. I thought I just could not understand living like that.
Yeah.
You know? And when
but
I was...
how did they feel about it? Did they just think they just kind of accepted it?
I think so. I don't really remember, to be honest with you. I don't remember it being a big
really
deal.
Now.
Yeah, I think that because kids get embarrassed by things like that, I think that maybe they were a little embarrassed, but I don't honestly remember. But now looking back at it,
I had cousins like that.
Yeah, and his dad like was so cool. He you know, he did so many great things for them. They lived a great childhood. And I mean, I did too. Like, you know, I grew up in middle class white family, so not much can go wrong there. But but yeah, I did always find it to be really interesting, you know, looking back on my childhood, and I would eat soda all the time, and I know I harassed my parents about it, you know, and what I was trying to explain to my dad, just to kind of circle back to that, was that for he was like, oh, so once again it's our fault, you know what I mean? Like, he didn't say that, but I know that's what he was trying to say,
right?
And I'm telling him, no, it wasn't your fault, because when these things were really introduced, they were marketed really well, and people didn't know the impacts of it.
Yeah,
they didn't understand the impacts on health. It wasn't so, you know, broadcasted. This was brand new stuff, and this was when people thought that, you know, fat is bad and sugar is okay, and and you know, I mean, the marketing is so strong. I
Yeah.
mean, like the emblem
And
of
wasn't
Mountain
there
Dew.
like a paid like study
Oh yeah, with
by
sugar
the
and
sugar
fat.
by
Yeah.
the sugar company
Yeah.
blaming fat for,
Well, yeah, they had
diabetes and
scientists that were
whatever.
on staff that were giving false reports
Right.
on the negative impacts on health, and that's how people began to associate fat with cholesterol.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think it is. I don't fucking know. I don't know if anybody really understands like how the microbiome gets destroyed, but I know that Crohn's disease was very uncommon up until the early '90s, and then all of a sudden, I believe it's 1 in 3.
I was gonna say that it's very
Yeah.
new
Yeah.
disease.
Yeah, it's very,
Yeah.
and intestinal diseases in general. I mean, think about it from a survival of the fittest standpoint. For the time that humans were human, upright beings or whatever, let's say 300,000 years ago, because that's when a lot of people say that, So let's say 300,000 years ago. From that point until what? I mean, agriculture really just started to kick off 5,000 years ago. That's when, like, I mean, depending on what your stance is on, the history of human race, but if it was only 5,000 years ago, and that's like literally that's less than 2% of the human history
Yeah.
of, like where we were just foraging and hunting and gathering and trying to get our nutrients from whatever was available to us at that
Yeah.
time. And like Cody and I were talking about it today. I said something about, man, I'm hungry, but I feel like I ate a lot today. And that's really weird because it's hot outside,
Yeah, that is strange.
And he was like, I don't know if heat has anything to do with it. And I was like, I don't know if that's true, Cody, because
I get nauseous and like
Yeah.
I don't want to eat if it's too hot.
yeah. Well, I mean, your body takes more energy to digest meals, large meals, especially things that are like high in protein, high in fat, and
Yeah.
things like that, which is what I primarily eat. And so the body uses more energy to do things like that stuff. And then your body also uses a lot more energy to be out in the sun. So,
Yeah, true.
and then
And you're sweating, so you're
and
losing
sweating, so
electrolytes.
you're
and
losing
blah, blah,
electrolytes
blah.
and water. You're getting dehydrated and working. And, and so I was like, just kind of like breaking it down to him. And then I was telling him about how, like, in Mexico, things that grow down there are peppers and fruit. So hydration, things that make you sweat. And that is, it's ironic to me that the things that grow in those areas are what humans need
in those areas.
And just within the last, 100 years, could you eat every type of food imaginable at any point in time? Oh yeah, I want Mexican food, which is spicy and all this shit,
Yeah.
and you want it in the middle of December in Alaska. You can get that.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe in Anchorage, probably not most of Alaska,
Yeah,
but
so maybe there is a method to, the
Yeah.
madness that humanity is.
yeah,
And
it's
our
like,
placement kind of, I mean, we evolve, we're constantly evolving and
and that's
adapting to
yeah,
things.
that's part of it. I mean, the cultures that grew or I guess lived in, places close to the equator, they
Yeah.
evolved and adapted to eat things that fit their needs in those areas. So they fruit, which is hydrating and gives you glucose, so you have those kinds of energy spurts and things like that, where and peppers that make you sweat, so it's hot. That's a natural cooling method for the body,
Right.
and that is close to the equator, and those people needed that for survival, and they built their whole body around surviving off of those things and getting the aid from it.
Yeah. And then you get like the Inuit people who are eating blubber whale fat or whatever
yeah,
it is.
yeah, that's
whale
crazy.
blubber.
Ugh,
Did I
sounds
say that wrong?
disgusting.
But that's, I mean, they don't eat any vegetables.
Yeah.
That's it. They eat blubber.
Yeah, and I think the Inuit have some sort of, like, they have higher blood flow to the fingertips and stuff like
Wow.
that, so that they can weather the cold weather, because
Wow.
obviously your excrements get get frostbitten and can't get blood flow to those areas, so
Yeah.
their blood system, vascular system, I don't
Yeah.
know, their vascular system has developed in a way that can get blood flow to their excrements easier.
Wow.
Which
That's
is
very
crazy.
Cool.
It's
Yeah,
insane.
because survival mode is protecting the important organs and
Right.
going out of your limbs.
And so
That's very cool.
up there, those people have evolved over time to do that. And then, I mean, can you imagine if those people who have been eating well blubber forever and getting energy from strictly fat, basically, to, you know what, we're going to send McDonald's with fucking McFlurries up there. I couldn't even imagine the health implications that would happen. And I'm sure it's going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
I mean, now that McDonald's is over in places like China or whatever, they're starting to have problems.
Yeah.
Like,
I think that I might be wrong on this, but I think that study's actually false. But
oh, really?
Yeah, I'm just not 100% sure. I wouldn't want to speak on it too much because I don't know if it's true or not. I'm sure.
Learn that back when I was vegan, and there are a lot of like false advertisements.
Lies.
Well, I mean, like, not to get into like if the vegan diet is right or wrong. I do think it's possible, but I think there's a lot of lies that go along with it. Yeah.
Yeah, they're
Absolutely.
lies. I mean, okay. Being realistic, vegan wasn't even invented until like the 1930s.
Yeah, vegetarian
Maybe
was.
Being vegetarian, vegetarian was, but being vegetarian is, I think that you could do that. You know, because you're eating eggs, dairy, you know, you're getting good bacteria that way. You can eat, well, I guess you can't eat fish if you're vegetarian, but I mean, at least you're getting omega-3s and stuff like that from eggs, right?
Right. So
you're able to get a lot of those fatty acids and things like that still. But you know, how much more flax do you need to get the same amount of omega-3s?
Oh, you only like convert about 10% of flax.
I mean,
the conversion, and that's the thing. That's why some people can last.
And it's not even the same kind of omega-3s either. Your body doesn't digest it the same.
That's why some people can last 30 years on a strict vegan diet versus 3 months. You all know someone who lasted 3 months on a vegan diet and like passed out. Yeah. Like our conversion is just, we're all different. We all come from different places. Our family's been eating different things. Eric was actually vegan when he got really sick. He was so
it's not
anemic,
to say that
was scary.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's not to say that was necessarily the cause of me being
not
sick
the cause.
either.
I'm just making the point.
Probably a part of it, though.
I'm just making the point that your immune system was so compromised that it opened you up to, I don't know. I think it perpetuated it.
No, I
Crohn's.
agree. Yeah,
I think it somehow
possibly.
developed.
Who knows?
It.
We don't really have real science on that, but I agree that it probably impacted my health in a very serious way, and it definitely impacted my mind in a very serious way. And I know that because the first time that I ate steak, I had a psychedelic experience, basically.
Yeah, he got first of all, let me just tell him the story because it was really cute.
Go ahead.
First time in like 5 years, we're trying meat because we had tried everything to get Eric to feel better, and like nothing was working. And he was working with a natural doctor, or I guess, is he a doctor? Natural,
not like certified
dietitian, whatever.
Awesome
friend.
Fucking dude that knows a lot about health.
Yeah, and he like kept trying to get Eric to eat meat. And he's like, I was vegan, I had Crohn's, I had to switch my diet to paleo. Like,
my birthday's the same as yours.
Yeah, they had the same name.
Same name, same birthday. It was like, okay, too many parallels.
Yeah, a lot of coincidences. And so Eric finally tries this. And first of all, he loves cows. And did you order a steak? Is that what it was?
Yeah, it was
like
steak.
A local,
Grass-fed.
Really high end. We were at Red Feather in Boise, and he's crying at this really nice restaurant and like wiping his tears because he felt so bad that he had to eat this.
It's indoctrination.
Had to eat this cow. Yeah. And at that point, because I felt the same way. I was vegan for ethical reasons. Like, I felt sad. But if it was what was going to save you, I didn't even care. I was like, eat that steak, Yeah. And a few bites in, like, you stopped crying and you just like took a big breath and you got high.
Yeah. Yep. I know. And I know
you
that
were
I
just
sound
like, I will never forget that face though. You were like, whoa, it was intense for you.
Yeah. And I remember being so, because I had been one of those fucking stupid psycho vegans, like the kind of vegan that becomes a pastor for veganism. And I just remember being so scared to tell people because I had been spewing this stuff forever. Yeah. And on top of that, I met a lot of people that were also in line with that way of living. So, but I just,
it was hard for you to transition.
Yeah.
Especially living that way. And it was veganism can be very religious.
Yeah.
And, you identify with it and
Right.
you think it's the right thing to do.
Right.
And morals over health sometimes win.
Well, and it, in theory, could be the right thing to do if you're only considering that one scenario. Like if
I absolutely agree.
Yeah. If all you're thinking of is that one scenario of killing an animal and eating it versus not killing an animal and eating it, if that's your one story for that animal, then that makes sense why you would morally want to do it. But the reality is it's way more ethical to be a whole food, like not the restaurant or the food chain, obviously, but being a whole food person who derives their protein from good sources and
that their body can actually convert.
And then you start to really, like, for me, I was looking into it so much because I am a research freak and because I cared so much about doing it ethically. I start to look into this and I'm thinking, my God, this entire time I have been so wrong. And the reason why I feel that way is because, when I was vegan, I was supporting a lot of the same large corporations that are polluting the earth, doing all these, crazy, unethical farming practices. They're cutting down the rainforest. They're, if you're not looking into that, then you're really doing yourself a disservice, because then you start to understand that, okay, in order for me to be vegan, I have to eat a lot of soy to derive things, protein, or I need to eat a lot of legumes and, all of these things, and all these products come from somewhere, and it's not normally sustainably sourced, because being sustainable means, that everybody can do it, and it's going to continue providing. But in reality, it's just not the case. When you eat wild game, or when you eat, even if it's not wild game, but it's agriculture that was farmed with good practices, I see those farms up here. I see the cows running around, eating grass, doing what they're supposed to do. They're fucking cows. They don't really, it's not like they're missing out on a whole lot of life. They're hanging out in a pasture with their friends, and then we eat them. And I know it sounds bad, but the reality is, like, what does a cow do? If it was out in the wild, what would a cow do? He'd hang out in a pasture and then get mauled by a cougar.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, I'm serious.
I mean, I don't know. Obviously, like, certain people have to eat meat for health, but, like, I still think, I don't know.
There are 7 billion people in the world. Okay, 7 billion.
I feel like I think like a vegan sometimes, still to this day.
Sure, I think morally and ethically.
Yeah, because I'm like, dude, you love cows more than I do.
Absolutely,
and I do still believe that there is a certain way for certain people to make a vegan diet work. Definitely vegetarian.
I don't know vegan. Yeah, I don't know. I don't agree with that. I don't understand how you
don't have to agree with that. I'm just saying that's how I feel about it. And I don't even think I could do it.
Sustainably be a vegan? I mean,
if you're growing your own food,
what are you going to eat?
What do you mean? Fruits and veggies.
Okay, but you think that there's someone that can live sustainably and healthy off of just those food products? I mean, seriously, like
there's people that do it, and I'm not trying to say that they're wrong, because
of course not. They're not wrong.
No. I'm saying, like, healthy, whatever. Not right or wrong. Healthy. I'm not trying to say that they aren't healthy, because I
disagree with that.
I think there are some people, like I said, who just convert better. Like, I really feel that way.
Yeah,
I work with a vegan
to
who has been that way for, almost 30 years.
Well, just from personal experience, I have yet to meet a vegan that's been vegan that long that looks healthy.
Yeah.
They don't look healthy. I mean, I'm not trying to say that it's just about looks or anything like that, but it's not. It's just, first of all, they don't look healthy in my opinion, but also, what's the goal? I mean, to be vegan means that you can't use leather. You can't eat honey. You can't, you know what I mean? You can't use...
Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely, even when
And at what point do you stop? You can't drive down the road because of bugs? Are bugs considered living creatures to them?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, everything in this world, plants are fucking living, okay? And
I agree.
And I mean, when I was vegan, I used to always say this thing that like, okay, well, clearly there's a difference between taking an apple off of a tree. The whole tree doesn't die, right? The apple is going to fall from the tree eventually, right? But when you take the life of an animal, that takes their life, right?
Right.
But that is there's so much life that happens in that process. There's so,
Yeah, and it's not a bad thing to, be involved with the circle of life.
No, it's beautiful.
It is
And
beautiful.
that is how we lived.
And you've changed my life with that. Like, I watched your story, and I respect it.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Do you think that there's a vegan that could live sustainably 10,000 years ago and sustain themselves for their entire life? With with the stuff that's provided on the land.
I don't know how I could possibly know that.
I'm just saying, use common sense. Like, do you think that, not common sense, but you know what I'm saying? Like, do you think that if you were alive 10,000 years ago and all of your food was based on foraging, which is, just...
Well, no.
I mean...
No, of course not.
And if throughout human evolution, our entire time on this planet, our diet has been primarily based on eating what we can when we can. So that means sometimes you're a vegan because all you have available to you is vegan food, vegan options, which is berries or whatever. But that also means sometimes being a carnivore and living in harmony with the ecosystem. I mean, I just don't see how... I
think I'm being stubborn because I have tried so many fucking times to be at least vegetarian again since I stopped being vegan.
Yeah.
Because I really liked it. I liked, saving animals or whatever.
Yeah.
And every time
I would argue that you save, I don't know.
Well, let me finish.
Okay.
Every time I have just felt awful. And I've tried and tried, and I was eating the same way I was eating when I first went vegan, which is fruits and veggies, unprocessed, like high calorie. But yeah, I mean, that is how I eat now, is I listen to my body.
Yeah.
I hear it and I listen to it.
Yeah,
and I give it what it needs.
That's being harmonious with yourself.
Yeah. And I have never been happier.
Right.
And it's really cool because sometimes I don't eat meat for like weeks on end. And then maybe I'm on my cycle and I am losing blood and I'm just craving it. And, my vegan friend would say, oh, you just need iron. Just take a supplement. And I'm like, okay, but that's not what my body's asking for. There's other things in there too.
And what would you have done back in the day? Just go chew on a rock?
Yeah.
I mean...
I know. I mean, there's no way you could say that what someone is doing for their body is not right. Because I'm so happy with my decision to finally just not stick to a specific diet. Because sometimes I feel like I need different things.
Yeah. And I just think that, we do the best, like as humans, most of us do the best that we can most of the time. Maybe people are ignorant to factory farming, so they don't really understand that, but I would say that if they were knowledgeable about it, they would still try, to do the best that they can as much and as often as they can.
Yeah. It's crazy how a lot of people who eat meat from just like Walmart or whatever grocery store are super against hunting.
Right. That is really weird.
I've experienced that a lot lately. Because Eric and I have been thinking, like, if we're going to eat meat.
We're doing it.
Yeah. No. We didn't let me finish my sentence.
Sorry.
Thinking that if we're going to eat meat, we want to start hunting because, I mean, we're buying really high quality meat anyways. We might as well, cut down on cost, have it even more healthy, and get the organ meats.
And also the most important part is understanding where it comes from and being a part of that cycle.
Yeah, totally was going to say that.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's all good. It's just like, I want to be a part of that. That experience.
Me too.
I don't want to like close my eyes, get to a grocery store, pick up something in plastic, cook it on a freaking barbecue, and then shove ribs down my throat. Yeah. And there's a disconnection there with, our culture. And I don't know. It's sad, man. Factory farming sucks. It makes me sick.
How do you feed 7 billion people?
What's that?
How do you feed 7 billion people?
You're saying factory farming is the answer to that?
No, I hate factory farming.
What do you mean?
I'm just saying, how do we fix it? I mean, I don't know. I really don't know how we can possibly fix that problem.
I'm not even saying I wasn't even saying to shut it down. I mean,
I
like,
am. I mean, if we could shut it down tomorrow, I would.
but I'm not saying that. I'm saying that if we find that connection
Yeah.
and we start sourcing better, eventually, if everyone like knew someone that hunted if they don't want to do it themselves, or they got involved with it themselves,
Yeah.
how much would we much would we actually need those animals that are coming from like an awful factory farm?
Right.
Like eventually, right?
Yeah.
It's baby steps. You can't you can't just shut something down. You have to have a plan.
I also I just don't I don't think it's practical or realistic that 7 billion people are going to be able to hunt, and it's like
probably not.
No, it's not. I mean, and that's the unfortunate circumstance here.
But it is practicable to, I mean, hopefully be able to afford it would be like the obstacle there. It is practicable to source good.
Yeah.
For the majority.
Yeah.
Of the population, right? Don't you think?
Fuck. I mean, the majority of the population? Fuck no. Maybe the majority of the population in the United States, which ain't shit compared to the rest of the world. India has like twice as many people as we do. So
yeah, but aren't they a lot of more vegetarians over there?
I can't answer that. I mean, I know that's
well, let's just talk about
culture.
America then, because
no, I mean okay, but even talking about America, think about how many people in like Chicago and shit are on food stamps.
Yeah, so and super true.
So it's not practical for a majority. I think that's a very what's the word, like that's. Like we're lucky enough to be able, we're lucky enough to be able to afford to eat that way and be conscientious of that. But for a lot of people, they're not even, they don't even have enough money to think about eating, period. Yeah. I mean, think about how many people are starving.
Yeah, no, dude, I get it.
Yeah.
Like, and I grew up pretty freaking poor too. And we still ate like, my mom cooked every night.
Yeah.
We definitely had food stamps. Well, I actually don't know that.
Yeah.
But we lived in a tent.
But I can guarantee you that your mother back then, if you guys were suffering from poverty,
oh, absolutely.
That when it came down to it, if she's going to buy the $9 a pound grass-fed beef versus the $1.99 pound factory stuff, it's going to be the other one, I mean, that's almost 3 times the cost. It's more than 3 times the cost. Maybe it's almost 3 times the cost. I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, like, why do you think we make decisions like not having kids, like living in a fifth wheel, and versus renting out, is so we can actually afford to spend money on things that are matter to us, like good food. Yeah, because we do spend a lot of money on food.
Right, but also, I mean, once again, not a lot of people have that opportunity to make those sacrifices.
Exactly.
Even,
That's what I'm saying. Like, we're lucky.
Yeah. And that's, I was thinking about that today this is kind of off topic really, but I was just thinking about how it's so interesting to me that like, there might be someone listening to this podcast right now that's a vegan or a vegetarian, and they're probably like screaming at the computer.
Oh, they're pissed.
Yeah, they're screaming at the computer or phone or whatever they're listening on. They're saying like, you're only saying that because you switched from being a vegan and you don't have the courage or whatever to continue it. And for me, when I eat animals, it's such an honorable thing in my opinion. Like, I love the fact that I'm a part of that cycle. And I love that there is that cycle. I love knowing that animals die. They give the ultimate sacrifice for us to live, and one day we will give the ultimate sacrifice for them to live in some way or another, and that's just it. At least we're not ruthless about it, like that lion in that documentary we watched.
We're pretty ruthless, though.
Nah. Are you kidding? Have you seen what that lion, like in the wild?
Eric,
wolves. I'm just saying.
You know what goes on, though.
Okay.
You know the holes in the stomach of the cow. You know how we rape them.
I'm talking about us personally.
Okay,
right
us
now.
personally.
I'm not talking about factory farming and stuff like that. I'm talking about us personally right now. Me and you.
Okay.
At least when we do it, we're so conscious of it. We try to source from good sources so that we know that the animal lived the way that they were supposed to before dying.
That's important to us.
And in the wild, I eat a lot of elk, right? A lot of elk die from starvation, dehydration, from heat exhaustion, and of course other predators. And when other predators, like if a wolf kills an elk, what are they going for first?
Insides, organs.
Yeah. They're going for the organs first, and
Yeah.
they don't give a fuck if the elk is alive. They're going straight in there. The elk's screaming, "Ah!" And the wolf is
Yeah.
just tearing that shit apart and spreading their guts all over, and the elk is still screaming and bleeds out, and the process might last 5 minutes, and that is agonizing death.
Yeah.
Right?
If you're comparing us to that, of course.
But that is how nature is.
Yeah, no, I know.
And we have always
Yeah.
been in humans have always been, for the most part, in tune with the animals that they're eating. I mean, that's one thing that makes us so awesome, is that we're so conscious of that.
I was just going to say,
Think about Native Americans.
Yeah, no. And even when both of us, I don't know about you, but I can't speak for you, but even when I was vegan, I really felt like eating meat wasn't wrong. I
Right.
just didn't want to partake in the awful factory farming. But if you're hunting
I
your
thought
own
it was
meat,
wrong.
yeah. If you're hunting your own meat, even back then, I really respected it.
I respected hunting, but
Yeah.
outside of hunting, I respected hunting because I felt like that was the warrior's way, in a way. Like they
Yeah. It's
go
really
out there and
I mean, it's the best way to do it.
yeah. Except for these fucking guys that, like, I don't know, some guys just, I don't know, do it really
Some
strange.
hunters.
Yeah, just they're
What do you mean?
well, there's I would say most hunters, especially the ones that I've met up here and stuff, are extreme conservationists. They really care about it. But then I've met some that are just weird about it.
Yeah, like what?
They would rather be hunting humans, but maybe they chose animals because it's
Oh,
not
like
illegal.
they like to kill.
Yeah, and it's just
Yeah.
weird,
Yeah, that's strange.
And those guys are fucking weird, and they shouldn't
Yeah, like if you don't shed a little tear when you kill your elk,
do it. Yeah,
I feel like that's strange.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, most of the people when you think about what conservation through hunting does for the environment, my stepdad and I were just talking about this recently, but there was a bird that was about to go extinct. I think it was a waterfowl or something that was going to go extinct. And Ducks Unlimited was looking at this in the early 90s and thinking, okay, what's going on here? These are going extinct. And they start like realizing that the environment has changed and they're not able to survive very well. And this is probably a large part to do with human intervention in the environment. And so they said, okay, what are we going to do? Well, we're going to start raising money from a nonprofit to try to fix these environments and get these things so that they're huntable again. And now this population of animals, because of hunters and conservationists, which are hunters, they have taken and they've completely fixed the environment. And now waterfowls are doing better than ever, right? So it's kind of an interesting thing that a lot of times the people that you think just want to go out there and murder are also aiding in having these animals survive and live a good life. I mean, there is, from a hunting perspective, there's nothing better than going out and hunting an elk with the biggest rack, because you know that they are dominant male that has lived a good life. They're, probably already shed their offspring because, they shed their antlers every year. And normally when they grow bigger, better antlers, that's because they've given off their offspring. And so that animal has reproduced. So that animal has already spread its seed. It's done its part in nature. And that they're getting to the end of their life because they're old, which is why they have these big racks. And then you're able to kill the animal, and you're connecting in this way that's so intimate and beautiful. And then you're providing for your family. And it's like, okay, that elk just lived a life doing what the elk wants to do. And then you took their life in a way more humane way than they were going to suffer dying in nature by themselves, probably from predation or lack of food, right, through winter.
And wasn't there something about that making room for the young males?
Yeah, because a lot of times,
species I'm thinking
no,
of, or?
elks. Well, most animals, the older males kill the younger ones because they either can't spread offspring anymore, or they don't want to compete. So if there's older, more dominant males, they'll, with elk, they'll actually, shove their big fucking antlers through the kid elk's heart and kill him. And same thing. Did you hear about that giraffe that was trophy hunted
the
recently?
black giraffe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you hear about that?
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on that?
I don't know.
Did you hear about the other side? Like what happened that led to that hunt?
Every time I seen even an elk
Uh-huh.
dead
Yeah.
next to a gun, it makes me feel a little sad.
Yeah, well, that's
It's
part of the
nothing.
problem.
It has nothing to do with eating meat or not. It's
Yeah.
just like that's a beautiful animal.
Right. And that's
if-
that's
and-
why I think that hunters think the same thing. I really do.
I'm not saying
No,
they
I know.
don't.
I know. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying for the audience, you know. They don't it's not like they kill that animal and they're just like, fuck yeah, I killed a big elk with a big rack. I would say most are out in nature and they like, especially like bow hunters when they're really intimate and close and they just bugled an elk to come in, and then all of a sudden there's this big fucking elk just standing like 20 yards away from you, and you draw, and right before you pull, you're just like, God, what a beautiful animal. Every time I've ever seen an elk in nature, I'm just like, that is a beautiful animal and so much power. And, you know, they're just fucking amazing looking. They're huge, you know, and especially when I've seen them hiking with Bruno or something. And go ahead.
No, I want to know about the giraffe though.
Oh, I'll get back to it.
Okay.
But especially when I've been hiking and seeing them in their natural element with like the sun shining off them, and they're standing up on a fucking rock and they're huge, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just such a powerful animal. And I know most, hopefully, hunters that are conservationists and love animals are going out there and they're seeing that, and they know there is an essence in that animal. And when they take their life, they go up and I'm sure they, you know, put their hand on their heart and just thank them for what they just did for their family.
I would hope
you know?
so. Yeah.
So with this giraffe, the giraffe had been like killing other giraffes, you know, baby giraffes. Same kind of thing with what we were just talking about, the elk.
Oh.
The giraffe, you know, was old, could no longer reproduce, and that's why the black coloring was because of the age. I guess they get darker with age. And so
Really?
yeah. So the giraffe was very old.
That wasn't like a rare species of black.
No.
Well,
And
social media needs to just
they're
tone
so
it the fuck
stupid.
down.
I know, it's crazy.
I mean, I don't even really scroll anymore, but like,
yeah, and it's sad because it's really easy to be sitting here on your couch eating fucking McDonald's or whatever, and see something like that, and you're just like, oh my God, why would they kill this beautiful animal? And then you start to dig into the story, and I think that it cost her like $600,000 to get that tag. Right? $600,000.
Wow.
That $600,000 goes to that small village in Africa, and they're able to do conservation activities. They're able to obviously save lives of young giraffes that would have died otherwise from this big fucking giraffe that's killing them. And then, so you're saving more lives. And then on top of that, all of the meat went to the local villages. So you're feeding villages that might not have otherwise eaten, right?
Yeah.
And the money goes into conservation. So when these things get shared on social media and they don't know the whole story, because most people just read titles and look at pictures.
Right.
So they don't know the whole story. They don't look into it, which was, for me, I looked into this story because you know how much I love giraffes.
Yeah.
Right. I looked into this story because I felt horrible that this person would do this. You know, it brought me back to the times when I would see elephant trunks being held up by trophy hunters, you know? And for the record, I don't know if there's any time to really hunt an elephant. I don't know, though. I haven't looked into it. But
unless they're aggressive, maybe.
I'm
sure there might be.
Well, they
just
do
like
destroy
anything.
villages, and that's why a lot of them die.
Yeah.
But
there also are a lot of them that are getting freaking murked for just, you know.
Yeah. Did you know that Did you know that they're starting to evolve out of that?
Of not having tusks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
It's
You told me
crazy.
that.
Yeah. It's so crazy that they're like literally filtering out that as part of their evolution to try to survive this. That's disgusting.
Disgusting, but evolution is so fucking cool.
It is so cool. You know,
totally disgusting though.
I really wish I could take the teeth out of ivory hunters. And it's not cool. It's not. So I'm talking about hunting, but then obviously there's a little nuance here because there's very certain times when it's wrong. You're not feeding anybody. It's completely illegal. The only thing the ivory is going for is some fucking guy standing in his condo in Manhattan looking at it. I mean, dude, that is when this shit's wrong, right? But there are certain times when hunting in Africa and killing a lion or something, I mean, as much as it sucks to know that a cat has to die, there are times when the cats have to die. And
with the giraffe though, like I was going to say, it makes me sad to see any animal like that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't know. with was it a woman who killed the
Yeah.
giraffe? Like, it's not like I would share it and be like, this effing bitch, like, blah, blah, blah. I wouldn't judge her either,
Right.
because who knows? Like, if she was killing for fun, like, she's probably super ignorant to that. But it turns out she's not. So good to know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know her story. I don't know why
Yeah, we don't know,
I don't
though.
know her part of it, but I do know that the end result was very positive.
Yeah, like, there was a group of people who probably wanted it done.
Yeah. Oh, no, absolutely. If there wasn't, it wouldn't have been legal.
Yeah.
And that is the biggest reason why sharing these kinds of stories on Facebook with these like aggro titles and messages and stuff like that without looking into it
Like
is
a
so
picture
negative.
with words on it that say rare black giraffe killed by
Right.
hunter, like,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. So this is a prime example of why sharing things like this is
Why do they photograph?
Okay, let me just
Sorry.
finish this point really fast just so that I can get it out. Because what happens is when you don't allow these legal hunts to happen and you don't, you don't allow hunters to pay $500,000 to go hunt something that needs to be killed, you're basically taking food and money out of that local culture because there's reasons why it has to happen, right? I mean, for example, if say this got so much backlash, I mean, I don't know how much Africans give a fuck about, tween girls on Twitter, but say that this got so much backlash that they decided that this wasn't going to be able to happen again. And there's a giraffe in the same kind of situation that's decimating young giraffe populations and things like that, right? And now all of a sudden they need to take this giraffe out. So they just send somebody that's a sharpshooter out there and just kill it. Well, now like the meat can't be harvested because someone just killed it for no reason. The money, $500,000 in fucking Africa to aid villages, that's a lot. And that can't be used anymore, And so it's like this is the problem with social media, in my opinion, is that a lot of people share ideas without looking into it. They just like, they might be in their circle of friends or whatever, and their circle of friends might promote it a certain way that's from an uneducated standpoint, and then they share it on social media, and people just read the title, just look at the pictures, and then share it. And the problem is that people don't take the extra step and look into the benefits of things like that. And for me, I was so against trophy hunting that it was really hard for me to change my own mind about this. I had to do a lot of research on what it did for villages and what it did for, the locals and stuff like that for me to change my perspective on it. And I still think that in certain circumstances, it shouldn't be done, but in this circumstance, it should have, which is why
It should be case by case.
it should be case by case, and it should be looked at with nuance. Like, okay, we shouldn't kill giraffes unless there's giraffes decimating smaller populations or something,
Yeah.
So anyways, why do they take pictures?
Yeah, what is the point of that?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's weird. I don't know if I would do it, but I think that
Well, okay, maybe it was for her own personal.
sure. I don't know the situation on the picture. I mean, but I know that there's I
guess I'm not a hunter, so I don't
yeah,
understand.
and I don't even know what the hunt entailed as far as like, was it a high fence operation? Did they take her right to the spot? Did she have to hike in 20 miles? I don't know that part of it. You know what I mean? I doubt she did, but I know that a lot of hunters that hunt wild game and stuff up here, they take pictures because they just worked their ass off to go get an animal, and they want to remember it. And it's not like they're smiling with their gun up in the air like, fuck yeah, it's more of a humbled stance most of the time with the animal. I don't think that most people are like,
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, most of the time, I guess.
yeah. So I think once again, it's just case by case. Who knows? Everybody does things for different reasons. I don't think I'm going to take pictures when I do it because I'm not that kind of guy. You know what I mean? I'm not the kind of person that feels like I need to share that part of my life with people. And so I'm sure that, when I get an elk this year or whatever, I'll talk about it, and if people want to ask me the story or whatever, I'll talk about it, but I'm not going to broadcast it on social media because I kind of feel like that might almost take away that bond between me and the animal.
Yeah.
So,
I think I just feel weird about it because it
is weird.
So beautiful.
Yeah. But I mean, part of the reason is we're not there.
Yeah,
So
no,
we never see those
absolutely.
animals except in zoos where they're protected
Like
and they're by
we, as
themselves.
in America, shouldn't really have a say on it. I mean,
No,
it's
we
those
shouldn't.
local
That's the
people.
problem with America, is that we're always trying to make up the decisions for other countries on what they should be doing, right?
Yeah, we suck.
And we
We're
do.
so annoying.
We are so annoying. And it cracks me up. Like, these people are sharing these fucking pictures of this giraffe, outraged, right?
Mm-hmm.
But meanwhile, there are 1,200 women being raped every day in the Congo.
Yeah.
I don't ever see that being shared.
Yeah.
How often do you see that being talked about?
I don't. Besides you.
So it's like, yeah, I mean,
You're always upset that no one's talking about it.
Yeah, so this is the problem, is like, we care way too much about shit that should not be cared about, and that's because we have it too easy here.
Mm-hmm.
We live way too easy. We have shelter, food, and water anytime we need it, no matter what. You can be broke as fuck, no job, and you can go get food, water, and shelter for free somewhere, right? And this is, so then people need a reason to be upset about something, because for the last few thousand years or hundreds of thousands of years, we needed those adrenaline boosts to go out and get our
fight or
food.
flight.
Yeah, we needed fight or flight. That was a huge part of our human biology. It was like, we need to go out and hunt, and we need this, right? And we need to know when people in the group are doing wrong so that we can survive and throw them out and do all this stuff. Well, now it's like, well, shit, what do we have to be angry about? Nothing. It's too
we're not
easy.
running for our lives anymore.
Yeah, it's too easy to be alive.
That's why it's important to exercise.
Agreed. But I mean, it's like, people are so upset because someone called someone the wrong pronoun. You know, there's people that are getting fired from their jobs for not using the right pronoun. I was listening to a podcast today about this, where this guy was supposed to use a different pronoun for his student every day. Like, he considered himself a Z or whatever on like Friday, her on a Monday, whatever on a Tuesday. And they had all these different pronouns, and the teacher was supposed to remember them all. Okay. Every day, the person was something else, identified as something else. And the teacher was supposed to remember. This student is obviously fucking with this teacher. There's no way in hell that you can do that and not be fucking with the teacher. I don't give a shit what anybody says. I don't care if I get backlash on saying this, okay? The student was fucking with that teacher. And then the teacher accidentally uses the wrong pronoun on the wrong day, kind of like sometimes I say it's Wednesday when it's actually fucking Thursday. This teacher accidentally used the pronoun on the wrong day, and the student was outraged. Tried to get this teacher fired, you know?
But he didn't get fired, right?
Well, no, but I mean, he did get reprimanded by the faculty. So it's like,
that sounds fake.
It's not.
I'm not saying it is.
It sounds fake, but that's how crazy things are right now.
Yeah.
And this is the problem, in my opinion, about us not having anything to fight for. You know, think about like.
So what would be a solution? Not live as good? Like,
be hit with an asteroid or an EMP or something that fucks up everything, and people realize that they need to bond together to overcome some sort of horrible tragedy. Any time in the human history where we have needed to come together for something and fight, all of that bullshit has gone straight out the window, right? I don't know. Maybe people need to volunteer more overseas and go see what it's like to struggle. And this is why I was thinking about this thing with the Congo today. You know, I was saying that it's crazy. Joseph Kabila, the president of the Congo, is like, I think by July 12th, he has to say whether or not he's going to run for president again. And and
he's the guy that's fucking everything up over there.
Well, he's the president of the Congo, right? So it's called the Democratic Republic of the Congo, DRC, you know? But it's not really a republic, because this dude has been president far too long, and he's rigged the votings, and there's so much problems in the Congo, you know, with the militias killing each other and people trying to stand up against the state and going in and burning villages, raping children.
So it's actually like a dictatorship. Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Okay.
I would say it's more of a dictatorship disguised as a republic. And so they're saying that his term, he can't technically run again, but they're saying that he's probably going to force himself in there again. You know, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
The elections are in December, but the elections were supposed to be in 2016, got postponed until 2017, and now they got postponed again until 2018.
It's crazy how they can do that.
They're not supposed to. But also what they're not supposed to do is take our US dollars, which we gave to them as funding, and then siphon the money and pretend like they're paying corporations and put it in their own bank accounts. And that's what these fucking guys have been doing in the Congo, which is why the United States is afraid to give them money. I mean, it's fucked. And this is like...
Well, we probably shouldn't be for a lot of reasons.
Giving them money?
Yeah.
No,
he doesn't have a very good track record of actually helping his people.
I agree, and that's my point exactly. But what we need to be doing is focusing on this. And I'm not saying that we need to send troops in because I don't want to fight a fucking war over this. But education is important and volunteers are important. Yeah. And there are plenty of volunteer programs. If you are interested in going over to the Congo, which obviously I am, I would love to go over there and volunteer.
Let's do it.
I really want us to. And I'm serious about that.
Yeah. You've been talking about that.
I've been looking into
ever.
it. I was looking into it yesterday again. You know, it's just right now I just don't feel like that's such a shitty white person thing to say. Like right now is not the right time. But I feel like for one, it does cost money.
Right.
You know, but it doesn't cost very much. You can go over there and volunteer as a teacher or something. It's like $100 a week and your room and board is paid for, you know?
Yeah.
So if you
so
can't,
it's plausible one day for
absolutely
us.
the flights are about $2,000 so round trip. So if we saved up $5,000 we could go over there and volunteer for a month. But I guarantee you once we get over there we would be addicted to it and we'd want to live there. Because
really
I think so? I really do. Because, well, for me personally I think so, because that's why I'm having such a hard time wanting to go, is because I feel like you know, I don't believe in intuition and stuff like that, but I really do feel like this is my calling. I feel like I need to be there. I feel like this is the part of the world that does not get any attention shed on it. And there's so much problems. It's crazy. I mean, the Congo is
Wait,
beautiful.
I'm sorry. How do you not believe in intuition? That's what
or whatever.
Is that the wrong? Did you use the wrong word there?
Word. Okay.
Oh, destiny.
Destiny.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
That's what I meant to say. So I don't believe in destiny,
what? All right.
But I think that in this circumstance, it's like maybe it's just me. I don't need any fucking outside forces telling me to do it. It's just me. This is something that I believe in. I think that, I mean, when you look at how beautiful that place is, it is fucking beautiful. They have so many resources, and it's this old tribal shit that they just cannot move past.
Yeah.
And it's terribly sad. And I don't think that me going over there is going to push them into a great republic. And in 10 years, they're going to have paved roads and airports and shit. You know, I don't think that, obviously. But I do think that, you know, if we could get just a small percentage of this country to go over there and help spread education.
Yeah.
That is what they need, is education.
Assistance, security, and safety for those women and children who are being, hurt every day.
But education comes first, because I'm just saying, in order to make changes, I'm not saying that it should come before that, but I'm saying that in order to make these changes, the education has to come, because like these kids that are, 10 years old that are given a machine gun. Right. And they're brought out to kill sometimes their own family members. I mean, literally, they will give the kid a gun and put a gun to the kid's head and say, "Kill your mother." You know?
Wow.
And yeah, and then we're getting in Twitter fights. Okay, so it's like this is the shit that drives me crazy about our current situation here. Is I just think that there is something that we can be doing, and we can be using our words and our letters online to inform people of bigger problems. And we are the human race,
We'll get a Facebook.
I could not do that. I would ruin all of the relationships with the people I know.
No, I really don't like Facebook anymore.
Yeah. I just... Unfortunately, I feel like if I were to be talking about this on Facebook, I just think that I would get backlash somehow.
From saying that the Congo needs help?
Sure.
How?
People just backlash on Facebook. They always look for some sort of position to fight on, And that's genuinely how I feel, because
Well, how are we going to change that if no one's going
by
on
doing
there
what we're
talking
doing
about
right now,
important shit?
by doing what we're doing right now, we're talking about important shit.
Yeah.
And, you know, if people are really listening to what we're saying, if people are actually listening to this, they're going to, they can't, like, what we're saying to each other right now, having this kind of discussion, the way that we're doing it is way better than making a post on Facebook, because nothing can be misinterpreted.
Mm-hmm.
If I say something wrong, you can say to me like, oh, do you mean this? And then I can explain myself better, and then people can understand it better.
Yeah.
And that's why this is so important, you know? But I don't think that social media gives that, like, you can write something 10 times in different ways and they still might not understand what you're trying to say.
Of course. Yeah,
so
that makes sense.
Yeah. So I don't think that that's the way to spread the information. I think that there's a lot of information we spread, though.
No, I'm just joking with you just because
I know.
You said a post on Facebook.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's crazy. I don't know what to do, though. I don't know how to get over there. I feel so committed right now into this life. And we
are doing a lot of projects right now.
Yeah.
And I feel so busy.
Yeah, I do too.
Gosh, I feel so busy. Like, all I wanted to do today was nothing when I got home. And you're like, podcast time. And I'm like, fuck. Like, my brain has to work. And I would try to take a nap even, and that didn't work. But maybe we should, do it the old school way and make a little jar and write Congo on it and start putting money in it.
Yeah.
At least that'll help with manifest.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I agree. The other thing that I'm worried about too is it's so hard to know if the volunteer companies, or whatever you want to call them, nonprofits, I don't know, the volunteer groups that you're working for are reputable, you know, because you don't want to get over to Africa and then be like, oh my God, these people are psychotic. They're not actually doing anything. All they want to do is fuck and whatever, you know, like, who knows? Well, I mean, who knows what could happen, right? So it's like, it's really important to do research on the groups. But I have a friend named Carly who has gone over to, I think, Nigeria.
I was going to say, we might know people, right?
Yeah. She goes over there, but she does it for mission trips.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I don't think God is the answer to their problems. And that's the other thing that's really sad to me about these volunteer groups is a lot of them are religion based.
Yeah.
You know, like Catholicism is one of the main religions in Africa.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. No, I think it is the main religion in Africa. There are tons of churches over there.
Wow.
You know?
It's weird.
Well, yeah, especially since there's so many problems in the Catholic Church with fucking children and stuff like that. So it's like, what are you trying to do? You're trying to take more advantage of these people? You know, I mean, I'm not trying to say that's their goal. I'm not trying to say that's their goal, okay? I'm just saying that it's like, to me, as an atheist, I wish that there were more atheist nonprofit groups doing things like this, trying to go over there and not preach atheism.
I was going to say, because I don't know if you're religious, forgive me.
Yeah.
A lot of them are going over there to actually spread the word of God.
Yeah.
And
that's the problem to me.
That's not going to do shit.
No, it's not. It's going to make people feel like
spread love. Fuck yeah. Spread love.
Yeah.
Spread a helping hand. Like, be there. Do your part.
I mean, there are a lot of good things. I don't want to completely trash religion and say that there's a lot of good things that they do with this, like build schools, build housing, and this is all through religious based, work. But the thing that I just don't like is the intent behind it, because I do think at the core of it has a lot to do with trying to spread gospel. So it's like, I wish that maybe these guys had those flags and then they just didn't talk about it when they got over there. They educated people on, like, I mean, for me, the most important thing is education, because as soon as you get a population to start being educated, then that population will start to use, reason and rationality and do these things out of.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how that quote goes, but it's like, the more you understand something, the less you're scared of it. Yeah. Kind of goes for everything. Like, if we understand something, I mean, there's no reason to fight. And
how do you commit genocide? By making people others, by making them making them inhumane,
Right.
making them appear
Not
as though
human.
they're not human.
Not you.
Trying to disassociate them and you, making that, using things like, like, oh, they eat shit or something that's just like, what, that's so appalling.
Inhuman.
Yeah, and exactly, that they're no longer human. And I'm sure that is a huge portion of why these militia groups and these, different groups that are going around terrorizing these villages and stealing and raping and pillaging. That's what they're doing. I mean they're making them
they
others.
Are brainwashing these young boys into believing that is, that they're doing maybe something good or whatever. Yeah.
And so with that, that wouldn't be possible with education. I mean, people, like even the people at the top, if they understood, what's going on here, then they would possibly take a stand.
Yeah, because they could still make money in different ways.
Yeah. You live in the most resource-dense country that there is.
It's not like you're taking anything away from them.
Right. If they could get their shit together, as a country and start to actually have a republic with the interest of the people in mind instead of Joseph Kabila's family, if they could actually get their shit together.
Are they super rich?
Yeah. Absolutely. Wait, Joseph Kabila and his family? Yes, they are extremely wealthy because they take money and funnel it straight to themselves. Any money that country makes goes directly to the family. They do not spread the wealth. They don't do it. They're not a republic. It's like a democracy or a dictatorship.
Yeah.
So, it's sad. Joseph Kabila has multiple houses. We should
do a podcast on him, maybe.
That's in my notes.
Cool.
To do something like that. I would, love to cut the head off that snake. Like, I
know, you really hate him.
I do, because I see what he's doing, and he's being allowed to do this, and it's not that he's being allowed to do this like I think that we are enabling him. Like, I don't think the United States needs to step in. But Jesus Christ, it's not like they're like on shortage of numbers over there. They've got people that can, it's time to make a change, but he has all these fucking militia groups that work for him that are like his armed faculty, and they have guns like crazy over there, AK-47s, and, all these kids are running around missing arms and limbs and stuff like that, carrying a AK-47 in one arm as a 12-year-old.
It's crazy how different our lives are than theirs.
Yeah. And
we have no idea.
It's amazing to me because, people are always, I'm not to get into politics, but it's like, people are always like, what do you want? You want the military running around, guns in hands on every street corner. You want this, you want that. Like, that's why we need to, like with conspiracy theories or something, like that's what the government's trying to do. They're trying to take our guns, and then they're going to have militia or militia law or whatever. I can't think of it on my head right now, but I don't know why I can't think of what it's called, but the militia law.
Militia law? Is that what you mean?
I'm sure there's somebody like, fuck, Eric,
that doesn't sound right.
Yeah, it doesn't sound right.
But anyways, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and you listeners hopefully know what I'm talking about. If you don't, I'm sorry, Google it or something. But it's like people are so afraid of us living this, like, oh, they're gonna put us in concentration camps like they did the Jews or whatever. Yeah, and it's like, look, everything is going okay here. The economy's in the shitter. But we, you know what I mean? We, for the most part, we all have food, we all have water, and things are manageable right now. But there are people in other countries that are living way worse than your worst fear of what's going to happen here.
Yeah, I was going to say that's actually happening in other places.
People's worst fear of what could happen here
is not having guns. Just kidding.
Well, and their worst fear is that they'll have the military inside of the cities with guns, and we'll be on our houses, and when we drive to work, we'll see the military.
Right.
These people have the military come in their house, rape their mother, burn the fucking house down, and that's their daily lives.
Yeah.
And it's like, this is why
it's real.
When I come home and I'm just like, Jesus Christ, did you hear about this fucking outrageous thing that somebody got upset about today at a college campus or whatever?
Like, sometimes it's too much sometimes with you, but I know it's because you're just, you think it's so stupid.
Well, it's just like meaningless. It's meaningless. We're literally arguing about shit that just doesn't matter. We're, it's like when people sit at home and they research like I don't know. I'm trying to think of something like when they sit at home and they research something like is the moon hollow, you know, and they
Right.
spend 12 hours a day researching it. I'm like, dude, you could be researching, you know, something that is true or matters. Cause even if the moon was hollow and there's fucking moon bases on there, what are you going to do about it? Nothing. You're not going to educate anybody because nobody's going to believe you because you sound like a fucking crazy person and we have science to prove otherwise. So it's like, rather than spend your time doing that, why don't you actually practice what you preach and try to help somebody, you know?
Yeah.
And it hurts because I know so many people with the best intentions when they're high on acid dancing at a festival. You know, it's like they have these like great intentions. They want to fix the world. They want to do all these awesome things. And I love that. If they could take it from that point of talking about it and bring it into their life and actuation and do it, I mean, we know beautiful people that have so much influence and, you know, I mean, I can think of so many people off the top of my head that are so influential and intelligent, but they just got to take that next step,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I should be more like
Absolutely.
that.
Me too. Yeah.
Sometimes.
No, I'm not, I'm literally preaching to the choir on this.
Yeah.
It's like, we all could be doing more, right?
Absolutely.
But I mean, I just think that we all need to take a step back, look at the important things in life, whether it be in your own life, your own health or your own wellness, your well-being, your family's health, things like that, and calm down on trying to control what other people do and think. You
Yeah,
know?
absolutely. Amen to that.
But anyways, I don't know. I think that was a good rant. So
You feel better?
I do. I feel like I need to say all that. I mean, I have been with the Congo thing. I have been thinking about it so much lately, and I just feel like such a piece of shit because I haven't gone over there yet.
Yeah.
I really do.
Just so everyone knows, this is like a daily thing when Eric and I come home. You're just like, this is happening, and have you heard of this? And I'm just like, I just sit and I'm there for him because I know he needs to get it out. And I learned too, and I'm just like, oh wow, no idea that happened.
Yeah. Well,
Daily life of Eric.
I know. And then
You have a lot going on in your brain.
I do. It's too much.
It's too much.
But you know, I really hope that one day, these conversations can be heard by people, and then you know, like right now, unfortunately, I just don't feel like I'm in the position where I can go over there and do that. What I'm talking about, but I think in a year I will be. You know,
Yeah.
maybe 2 years.
That seems not.
That's logical.
Yeah.
I mean,
Because by then we'll have our house and,
Sure.
you know, like we'll be in a place where we can leave and come back.
yeah, but not only that, I mean, there, you know, we have family and I don't know. I just think,
I'm just saying you can't really leave when you're in the middle of building a
yeah,
house.
that's true. Yeah.
It'll be done. Maybe I
Yeah.
should have said that.
Yeah. And I just think that, the main thing, I guess, on that note is that I don't think that it's good to try to help other people in such an impactful, huge way if you don't take care of yourself first. I'm just getting my health under control. You know, I mean, I'm not in the physical
yeah.
space
So true.
to go over there and, you know, put myself, I mean, could you imagine like right now, I just kind of got a handle on this.
And then you get like 20 vaccines and go
exactly.
over there.
That's what I was just going to say. The implications on my immune system
Yeah,
from
that'd
all
be
of the
bad.
different, I mean, and yeah,
Who knows?
who knows? I mean,
What would
I could
happen?
die. You
Oh,
know, it's
totally.
like, I don't
You're in a
think
very
I'm
vulnerable
ready
place right now.
Exactly. But I do think that if I can continue on this path, and maybe this conversation will be the thing that makes me want to push forward and stay strict on like what I'm eating and what I'm putting in my body and all these
Yeah.
things, and make sure that I don't derail that at some point.
Right.
Because that this could be the goal that I'm trying to strive for,
Yeah, that'd be
along
really
with my
fun.
happiness and health. But
Yeah.
you know, so
I would enjoy that.
yeah. But I don't know. I for any of you that are still hanging in after this crazy fucking rant, we really appreciate you.
Yeah. We're
And-
so happy we're doing this podcast, guys.
Yeah.
Like, and we have so much fun doing it.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun. And you know, like if you're thinking about doing a podcast, you should do it. It's
Yeah, or
awesome.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just got an email from some random person that we had no idea who he was, just saying how stoked he was that, he caught us when we started our podcast because he knew it was going to be, cool.
Yeah.
And he was along for the journey.
Yeah.
And that was just like really cool to hear.
Yeah, that was really great.
Because we are excited about it. We are going to keep doing it, and it is going to be a huge part of our life.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I don't know if you guys have noticed or not, but we haven't said anything about financial with this, like we're not trying to do this to make money. It's like we just really want to spread good information, accurate information, and our ideas and stuff like that through the platform. And if you feel like you should have your voice heard, you should do it too. I mean, it's such a fun way to connect with people. I feel like with doing this, if we could do this once a week or twice a week, just you and I, like our relationship will be better because we're able to talk about things that are important to us. Not that we don't anyways, but
we do all the time.
Yeah, I know. But like a lot of other people might not have those kinds of discussions in their relationship. So it could be a way for you to spark up that kind of interaction with your partner.
Yeah. And we're getting already requests to have guest podcasters on here.
Yeah, and we'll do that.
So that'll
too.
be so fun. We're gonna have some really, really unique, interesting people on the show.
Yeah. So, anyways, thank you guys so much for your support and listening and just kind of growing this thing with us. And we hope that you enjoyed today's episode. We just kind of wanted to discuss some stuff before the wonderful MK Ultra episode this Sunday.
I'm so excited to have tomorrow off so I can do some research.
Yeah. And if you feel the need or want or desire to email me, it's mindmeltpodcast@gmail.com, or you can follow us on Instagram at mindmeltpodcast. We don't have that many followers on there, but a good way to support the podcast is just by following us on Stitcher, Apple iTunes, and giving us a review. And it doesn't need to be 5 stars, but we would love it if it was. So holla at you soon. Much love. All right.
Peace.
Bye.